Everyone, I'm Dana Perino along with Kennedy, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The 5. President Trump telling allies it's time to pay up. During a tense morning meeting at the NATO summit, the commander-in-chief pushing his America First agenda and sharply criticizing members over their defense spending.
Many countries owe us a tremendous amount of money from many years back, where they're delinquent, as far as I'm concerned, because the United States has had to pay for them. The United States has paid and stepped up like nobody. This has gone on for decades, by the way. This has gone on for many presidents, but no other president brought it up like I bring it up.
NATO admits that Trump's consistent pressure is leading to more military spending. The president is also accusing Germany of hypocrisy for relying on Russia for energy.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. But Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia.
So that tough talk is not sitting well with some critics.
It's infuriating to see this happen. It's diplomatic malpractice.
Putin made a great investment in the 2016 presidential elections, and it's paying off for him in Brussels today.
This kind of diplomacy looks like Hulk smash.
It is just a disgrace for the United States to open a NATO meeting like this.
It is unprecedented language. It is a real threat to the alliance.
And I'm sure he thinks he's being clever, but it's a transparent way to carry out Vladimir Putin's deepest wish.
So, Greg, I was thinking about, when you talk about like words and deeds, the NATO outcomes are actually what NATO would want.
Yeah, and
the NATO, the head of the NATO, Stoltenberg, he said basically, he's like, yeah, we're all on track here. You might not like what he says, but if you look at what we're doing, it's all good.
And how is he placating Russia? I've missed that some here. Look, the difference between a good friend and a bad friend is a bad friend says things behind your back. Donald Trump says it to your face. And essentially, Europe are your pals who always have you drive them everywhere, but they never chip in for gas. And so Trump is saying, you know what? It's been a long time. You haven't paid for the gas. You got to pay for the gas. And, other presidents have said it, but they've never said it like this. And what we're learning now is that the media is more outraged when Trump is scolding our allies, more so when American politicians are encouraging mob action against our own leaders.
Yeah, but you know what the difference is? When you get protection from the mob, you pay the mob.
That's true.
To your analogy, it's even more fitting to say it's like getting in a cab and getting a ride, and then you charging the cab driver.
Right.
That's essentially what he's saying. And I think a lot of these nations are getting really defensive, and it is expensive, and our military budget is massive, but that doesn't mean that
increase it, and I wanted to ask you about that. President Trump today, he had been challenging NATO members to meet their 2% commitment. We're at 3.5, but then he upped the ante and he said, actually, we should all go to 4%.
Yes.
Are you for that?
4% of GDP. That's what he's asking these member nations. I don't think that means that the U.S. military has to spend any more money. I think we're spending quite a bit, and I think there are quite a few redundancies throughout the various branches of the armed forces. But having said that, I do think it's fair. If you want protection, and we're talking about European countries, where is Russia? Is Russia in North America? Who stands the gravest threat? It's those countries who are right next door. So
and those are the ones, and those countries' ones are the ones that have picked up their defense spending, especially the Baltic states right there because of their concerns. And also, as we mentioned yesterday, or maybe it was Monday, that Poland is worried because Russia is building up its military capabilities right there on its border.
Right. So, to me, the funny thing about that tape we just saw with the president is it looked to me like watching The 5 and Jesse's talking and the camera goes to Dana's face and you see all this eye rolling and people looking the other way.
I look very intently.
Yeah,
I think it's you who's the eye roller. Talk about projection.
Because Kelly and Hutchison, who is our ambassador in NATO, were like, what is this guy doing? So I don't think it's the liberals who are the most. I think
Juan's
people
a body
on the
language expert now.
Well, I just was watching. But I tell you what strikes me from this, Dana, is that what you said is exactly right. People with an imminent sense of threat coming from Russia have upped the ante. But the key point to be made here in regard to the president's bluster is this. these people aren't exactly in arrears in terms of paying into NATO.
Right, there's not a kitty.
No, he's talking. He should be talking about, are you paying for your own nation's defense at this 2% rate? By the way, 4%, as you pointed out accurately, we don't even make a 4% contribution in terms of defense spending.
I would be for that, Jesse. I'm for more defense spending.
Yeah, we make about 3.5%. And you know who's delinquent? Germany, France, and Italy, the three biggest guys in Europe. They're at like 1.1. I mean, that's nothing, Juan, and they're on the front lines. All he's saying is you guys have to have skin in the game. And when you invest more in your own defense, you feel more invested. And that's all he wants. He's like the international debt collector.
All right, let me
respond. Knock, time to pay up. And Juan, don't forget, a lot of Americans died in that continent. World War I, World War II, a lot of blood and treasure was spilled. Marshall Plan, the arms race, those days are over. We hope, we believe. Time to modernize the treaty and make sure everybody pays their fair share.
And one of the biggest issues with NATO is communication among the member nations. And they really don't do the best job of communicating military strategy and overall plans. And they could do a better job of that. And I think this forceful communication is very shocking to them. It violates this sort of country club protocol that the world has been operating under for a long time. I think a lot of these countries will be relieved when Donald Trump is no longer in office, but he's here right now, and there may be some bluster and there may be some impulsive words, but at the heart of it are some real questions that have to be tackled, and these countries have to examine what they're doing and what they expect from us and from the alliance and from themselves.
Well, let me just quickly add, in response to you, Jesse, that the United States has troops in places like South Korea, Japan, Estonia. Do you expect that now in terms of defense spending from our European allies?
We want to continue that power projection because it does keep America safe. So in other words,
it's a different standard.
It also keeps our allies safe. And what he's saying is we're paying for your protection and you're ripping us off on trade.
Let me tell you.
Let's all pay a little bit more so we could all be more secure.
Right, let me just say, the United States benefits greatly from the European alliance and NATO. We have managed to stabilize not only keep the Russians at bay. We have stabilized world economies and protected our own interests.
That they're getting, they're not paying enough for.
You know what? You
want to pay 2% of GDP? Pay it.
Well,
don't lie about it.
Nobody's
because a lot of other presidents have asked these countries to pony up behind the scenes.
What a
now someone's doing it to their face.
What a one-sided deal you're talking about.
I just want to interject something really quickly about Germany, because Germany is directly benefiting from Russia. And this is what the president is saying. You want protection from Russia, but you have a pipeline, you have a direct gas pipeline from Russia that you are profiting off of. So if they are making that much money from an entity they're scared of, then why don't they use...
Excuse me, but isn't it the case that that deal was struck, I think, back in 2000 before Russia's expansionism efforts began? And secondly, isn't it true that Angela Merkel has been far more critical
to adjust your energy imports?
Okay, hang on. And isn't it true that Angela Merkel is the one who has been harsh in her criticism of Putin, unlike one Donald Trump?
No, and I think what Trump is saying is, why don't you get your energy from America instead of Putin? That's the ask, and it's a tall order. And hopefully he can get that deal done.
From Russia to the USA.
Hopefully they can buy energy from the United States and not have to get it from the Russians.
How would they do that?
We would ship it over there.
Oh my
Don't we export? I think you know who benefits greatly. By 2020, we will be.
Pretty far, guys.
Well, we have the technology.
Let's get off the dirty gas.
You know who benefits greatly from this are the massive welfare states of European countries who don't have to worry about paying for defense because we're paying that bill so they can take care of everybody there. Liberals can never connect that dot. The other thing, too, is you can only have this conversation if the relationship is stable. And the relationship is stable. You don't discipline other people's children. You certainly could admonish a child or a sibling. And essentially, Donald Trump is Mike Brady and Europe is Jan Brady. And he's there telling Jan to clean up her act, make her bed. It's about time. We're all family. This is.
I mean, I agree with you that friends are ones that can tell you, like, when you're
right.
But I also believe that you do it in private, and I think that on the world
not always.
Stage,
I think he's
maybe
trying to
not
shame
always,
these countries.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of these.
It hasn't worked in
private for decades, and we've never seen any action.
It's not all just been said.
I like publicly shaming my friends.
The contrast between what Obama did and what Trump is doing is so incredibly stark, and I think they're all shocked. And it's funny to watch American pundits give in to the chaos.
You know,
I mean, they're really just playing
because they're no different than the European pundits. They're exactly the same.
Well, wait a second. You need to tune into right-wing radio, because guess what they're saying today? They're saying, hey, didn't Obama say the same thing about getting the Europeans to pay more for defense spending when he was in office? So it's not new. It's just as Dana pointed out,
but it's public.
You do diplomacy in a quiet way.
And
you
it
don't
didn't work.
embarrass your longtime allies.
One, it didn't work. Two, I cannot believe you're listening to Rush Limbaugh. I'm so proud.
Look at this.
One's coming around.
No, he's a Michael Savage fan, I hear.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
I've given up on Alex Jones, but you know what? You can't give up on Limbaugh. You gotta stick with Limbaugh.
All right, I'm done. I'm done with this one. All right, the left continues to melt down over the President Trump Supreme Court nominee, and also it's a big day for us. The 5 turns 7. Join the celebration. Share your photos watching the show, especially if it's with your dog. Just go to our Twitter and Facebook pages, post your pics. You can see yourself on the 5 a little later in the show. We'll be right back.
We're up all night to get lucky. 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 We're up all night to get lucky.
This
Oh no, those liberals continuing to turn up the heat on President Trump's Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh is meeting with Republican senators for a second day. The View's Joy Behar unloading on President Trump while also taking aim at Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, for his role in blocking President Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland.
Why would a president who's under investigation by the FBI for obstruction of justice and collusion be allowed to pick a Supreme Court justice who will be there? I'll be dead. There are many people in this room who will still be alive and need abortions and what have you, need health care. How dare he be allowed to do this when he is under investigation?
They stole the first nomination to the Supreme Court. Absolute theft.
Well, then how come Mitch McConnell's not in jail? That's what I want to know.
Well, wow. How come Mitch McConnell's not in jail? Kennedy?
That's so what Joy Behar is doing is she's relying on an exaggerated emotionalist approach to something she finds disconcerting. And instead of talking about facts and solutions, she really just leans into hysterics and hyperbole. And it's a really bad idea. And it's what the left needs to avoid if they want to come up with a cohesive message and find someone to deliver that message who can defeat the president in 2020, because at this rate, not only do you have Trump supporters who back him undoubtedly, you also have a lot of independents going, you know what, I've heard the sky is falling about everything. It's still very much in the sky. I'm going to wait and see what this guy says during the Senate confirmation before I declare that we're all going to die.
Okay, so Jesse, a lot of people are saying, wow, Brett Kavanaugh's a nice guy, looks like he has a lovely family, lives out in, I think, Chevy Chase, goes to church, coaches the kids basketball. But, didn't people say that about Kagan and Sotomayor? They're funny, they're nice, they're approachable. Is that really what this is about?
I don't understand the question. What I think you're trying to say is that these are wolves in sheep's clothing. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I think that, is that the
Temperament
standard?
is important.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Temperament on the court is important. I think that's one of the reasons they do that.
So it applies to liberals and Democrats, and is that a reason to support Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, I think it's one reason to support someone that is a kind and gracious and gentle man that has a family and, like you said, lives in the Maryland suburbs. I just think it contradicts the caricature of him as some sort of demon that is trying to injure women and get on the court and protect Trump from impeachment.
Wait a second. You're saying that he wouldn't undo Roe?
I don't believe, based on his statements, that he would undo Roe, but I don't think Roe is going to reach the Supreme Court.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. I also don't think Cocaine Mitch would do too well in jail.
What are you talking about?
You remember they used to call him Cocaine Mitch? I don't think he would last one day in jail.
I don't know why I have to defend Mitch McConnell. That's unfair to Mitch McConnell. That's a slander.
It's a joke. I'm also going to invoke the View rule, which is I'm not going to criticize Joy Behar because I don't actually think Joy Behar believes what she says. I think she's just saying that for applause. There's no way. She's not a constitutional scholar. let's be honest, she's a political pundit at best. But I think she's just saying that for applause.
Okay,
and I
so-
look forward to appearing on The View.
You are so subtle. Hey, there's no getting away from it. All right, so Dana, the fight really comes down to now, will the hearings begin soon or will they be delayed until after the midterms? McConnell says he wants Kavanaugh seated for the start of the October term of the Supreme Court. Democrats are saying, wait a second, this guy is so political, having been on Ken Starr's prosecution of Clinton, on the Bush Secretary of Staff. That they want all the records.
I'm going to call BS on that. Can you say that?
Dana! Do you know what that stands for?
Butter sticks?
Yes.
Butter sticks. I never heard that. That's good.
Okay.
My word.
A couple things.
Dana's
the Democrats
quick.
have decided that they are almost all are against him, but they can't settle on the same reason why. So they're scrambling. They even got to a point where now a few of them, like NARAL, came out with I thought that they had a pretty interesting position, substantive, and then they came out with this thing making fun of his name because his name is Brett, and you can't have somebody named Brett because it sounds like a frat boy that's going to be on the Supreme Court. So, when their children grow up,
Like
and
Justice
use their
Thomas,
last name.
funnel this bong.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I also think that their outrage is not sustainable until there's going to be hearings. So whether the hearings are late August or after the midterms, I think it will be late August, then the outrage that the liberals have, it's not sustainable. It's not consistent. They're not going to have enough money to do it. There's not that much to go on. He is on record for the last 12 years with 300 different opinions. Those are all publicly available. He's very well known. He was confirmed in 2006. All those things from the Ken Starr report to his work as staff secretary, that was all available then as well. So I think that the stall tactics are not good. If I were the Democrats, I would try to lose quickly, because they're going to lose.
Okay.
And get over it and move on.
So, Greg, one quick question on this.
I'll have a long answer.
Okay, well, but seriously, one of the liberals' complaints is that President Trump may have to face a subpoena, and if he does, then that issue could rise to the Supreme Court, and we know that Kavanaugh is someone who has said he believes in presidential power and that you don't allow that to happen.
That is one concern of many concerns that I ignore. I have to say, Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to The View. Without Donald Trump, it would just be a knitting circle in hell, an unfunny version of the Golden Girls. He's given him so much fodder. I admire Joy so much. You have to be superhuman to be this distraught all the time. She is like a Marvel character that you would call Outrageo, powered by unfettered, triggered emotion. At any moment, she can explode with this renewable energy of superior whining. It is absolutely unbelievable that every day you took time at the gym and it's on, and they are just screaming about Trump. I tell you, he's got to be doing something right if he's creating that much renewable energy. I mean, they could fuel a power plant.
They should do that in Germany.
They should.
That's what they should do. They should send Joy Behar as a special energy envoy to Germany to power the entire country.
The windmills.
And basically,
Better
you
than
cut off
Solyndra.
your dependence on Russia.
Yes. Outrage is a great renewable energy.
It would be so good if you could bottle that up.
Yeah, boy, better than solar power.
I've never seen anything like that among conservatives. What, that guy Obama? Oh, anyway, next, Professor Gutfeld, our buddy, enlightens us on claims that liberals are causing the decay of U.S. cities. That debate, so much fun, when we return.
Let's talk feces.
What?
There's been a lot of talk about how bad political division is, but I think I found something worse than political division. Political agreement, as in one-party cities and countries, one is always worse than two. A major medical association just canceled its convention in San Fran, costing citizens and businesses millions. Why did they drop out? Public drug use, increased risk of violence, and yes, human waste on the streets in this one-party lockstep town. In SF, human waste-related complaints have soared 400%. Talk about putting up with a lot of crap. Meanwhile, New York adopts a similar roadmap, no longer prosecuting stuff like public urination. Sidewalks are now bathrooms in another one-party, non-divisive town. Meanwhile, a new survey ranks SF, New York City, D.C., Detroit, and Oakland as worst-run cities. Yep, all one-party towns, ignoring the dispossessed, as uniformly leftist as MSNBC, and every bit as removed from reality. You want knee-jerk agreement? These cities are dying from it. What's way worse than two quarreling voices? Try one leftist voice as a mob. So as we talk about how bad political division is, real-life problems are multiplying. As America improves as a whole, with a growing economy and zero unemployment, one party runs our country's once proud communities into the ground. While they tout their phony tolerance, they turn society into an open-air clinic for people who need real help, not a blind eye and just a shrug. They make Mad Max look like Candyland. I only said feces once. That was the deal that we made. I just said it twice. I apologize. I won't say feces again. 3 times. All right, Kennedy, you are a fellow Californian.
Yes.
You've seen this up close. It's not pretty.
Well, it's interesting because there's been this big explosion, and it's something that really, I'm talking about the homeless population in tent cities, in big cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco. And it's because the left wants to be really helpful, but they tend to exacerbate the problem.
Right.
For example, in New York City, instead of building homeless shelters or helping people find jobs or get treatment for mental health and addiction issues, they shuttle people into $600 a night hotel rooms in Times Square.
Yes, it's
and that money could be much better spent, well, first of all, by individuals, because a lot of this is outside the purview of what government is supposed to do. And it really only makes the problem so much worse. So you end up having to spend so much more money that you raise people's taxes, you lower quality of life, and never really have an honest discussion about how to make things better.
Yeah. Now, Juan, serious question. You are a good liberal. Would you not?
Right. Thanks,
yes.
Dad.
Would you not agree? Would you not agree that what makes a liberal better is a conservative, and likewise, what makes a conservative better is a liberal, and the fact that you need to have a certain level of opposition to help create a stronger argument? Don't you think these cities are suffering from a lack of a counter narrative just so that they can have a debate?
Yeah, I think that's true. I must say, though, I think part of this debate is deinstitutionalization.
I agree.
And that started under, I think, a Republican president,
Reagan.
as I recall. And the second thing I would say is that if you look at these cities, but I noticed that some big cities like Chicago with Rahm Emanuel, L.A., Houston, Democratic mayors aren't on your list. They're doing pretty good. And I say, even with the cities on your list, including the one we're seated at the moment, New York, boy, boom city. People moving in, real estate values going up. So I don't know. People
Some areas are boom, other areas are poop.
I'm just telling you, people might be discombobulated over seeing homeless people because they say, oh, I don't like having to deal with bums and the like. But boy, people aren't exactly moving away from these cities.
Well, it's rich people.
But partly that's because the commutes are so bad because the infrastructure is so bad, and we haven't figured out a way to invest in that. And I'm surprised that Seattle wasn't on your list.
Yeah.
But maybe it didn't make that top 10. But just recently we saw that they did that. Re-up that idea where you could do drugs legally in that one area of town. And I mean, like, everybody's property prices around the area, like they're young families. So what has happened recently? Millennials are starting to leave cities for the suburbs. Why would you do that? You might want to live in the city, but it's not safe to do so.
You don't want kids walking among syringes and feces. Jesse?
The count is now up to 5, I believe, in the control room. I think I hit my number. Like you said, you need political competition, so you hold Democrats accountable. And there's also no local media to hold these people accountable.
Exactly.
There's no people shoving cameras in their face and saying these
There's no Jesse Waters.
There's the Waters everywhere. They're saying these programs aren't working. Shame, shame on you. And there's also so much permissive, behavior out there. There's no standards. There's no accountability.
Are you saying bring back Rudy Giuliani to every major city?
Well,
yes!
Rudy for America's mayor.
Hell yeah. The greatest mayor that ever existed.
Well, because you know why he was so pro-police? A lot of these mayors don't want police to crack down on some of this stuff because they think that's mean.
Well, the quality of life laws would go over like a lead balloon in places like San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Don't you believe, though, that a lot of the responsibility are the young, rich people that are moving to California who are so wealthy because of Silicon Valley, but they're traitors to the places they move to because they aren't contributing.
Because they can live up high.
They live up high, so they're
building bubbles.
They're building bubbles.
They can afford to insulate themselves, especially in places where you don't take public transportation, you don't walk a lot, and you drive everywhere.
And you got your own Google bus.
You guys are so off on this. Young people are moving into cities, and even seniors now prefer to live in
Have
big
you seen
cities.
the rent prices in San
I'm just
Francisco?
telling you, though, young people, millennials want to go to New York. They want to go to
Everybody
D.C. They
wants to
want
live
to
in
go
the
to
cities.
San
That's
Francisco.
why that they should make the cities better.
All right. There you Dana, always sensible. You don't have to use the foul language.
Feces?
Yes. Got it. Number 6. That wasn't me. All right. The anti-Trump resistance goes global ahead of the president's visit to the UK later this week. That's next.
Tonight, Chris Martin cries. More on that later. It looks like our friends across the pond won't be giving President Trump the royal treatment during his first official trip to the UK later this week. For example, the American Embassy in London is warning U.S. citizens there to keep a low profile during an expected 3 days of major protests. Anti-Trumpers in London have been given the okay to fly a giant Trump baby balloon. Look, he's got a cell phone in his hand. And there's a social media push to make Green Day's 2004 hit American Idiot the top song on the British charts by the time the president arrives. It would have been Three Lions. That's their very popular football song, but unfortunately England lost. Again, more on that later. So American Idiot is what anti-Trumpers are pushing in the UK. What should the president's song be as he steps foot?
Well, first I want to point out that this is not any different than the way they treated George Bush. I lived in London from 2005 to 2007.
Oh, those were the years.
And they would come into pubs, they would just lecture me on how shameful Bush is. So they're always like this. If you're not left of the Gang of Four, then they hate your guts. That's just the way people are. Again,
you spent time in pubs? That's shocking.
I know. Basically, America is Mike Brady and England is Oliver. And they just are always mad at Daddy. And I don't.
Not real Daddy.
I would choose "God Save the Queen" by the Sex Pistols.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
Dana?
Well, I took the assignment a different way. I might not have read it correctly. I felt like "Let It Be" by the Beatles would be the best one. Just like everyone, just chill out.
That's a good one.
Just ignore him. Like if you don't want him there.
Then I'm changing mine to "There, There, My Dear" by Dexys Midnight Runners.
See, I didn't know I thought they were a one-hit wonder.
Oh, they have a
Didn't
B-side.
know they had a B-side.
Yes.
Jesse Waters.
He has a B-side.
And the seaside. I would, you know what I just think is funny? When all these other foreign leaders come to America, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one knows they're here. No one protests. No one even bothers to protest because they don't care and know who they are. When our presidents go over there, everyone's like, oh, they get all worked up. They did it with Bush and Reagan. It just shows
They think Brian May is the prime minister.
No, but they rolled out the red carpet for President Obama.
Of course they did. That's a citizen of the world, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what song. I also did not get the assignment. I'm going to go with something from the Rolling Stones. Something from the Rolling Stones.
How about
Start Me Up?
Yeah, there you go.
Does that work?
No, street fighting man, because that's what Trump is. He's a street fighting man.
Boom.
There you go.
Nailed it. I get credit for that, right?
Yes.
Good.
By proxy.
Hey, to Brits, we all look alike.
With the assist.
Juan?
I was thinking about this. So I understand that Trump sent a copy of Elton John's Rocket Man over to Kim Jong-un, right?
No, that was fake news.
Oh, I thought it was true. It was not
No,
true?
I think it was fake news. The South Korean reporter said that, and then Mike Pompeo said it's not true.
Oh, not true. Okay, well, thank you, Dana. So I have to go with something else. So I guess I go like, how about Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower, right? Because people are watching and they're trying to figure out this guy, and they think, why are people tolerating this bully coming over here and trying to like embarrass Theresa May? Boris Johnson, Mr. Brexit, gone, embarrassed, right? So he's out.
But he was done in by an ally.
Yeah.
He was done in by his stupidity. How about that?
No, it was an ally who did it.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, they're watching.
too brutal.
The world is watching, and the world just thinks, huh. By the way, Jesse, if you live in Washington, just the other day, I forget who it was. Dana might help me here. But some foreign leader came, and he was actually beating up Americans who were protesting his visit, and now the
You mean
cops.
Erdogan?
Was it Erdogan?
That would be our NATO ally.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
they're the
sweetheart.
worst. We got to kick Turkey out of NATO. That's
Although those
I wish that was on
bodyguards,
the agenda.
were pretty impressive.
they're a bunch of thugs.
I hope we don't have that happen.
The two songs I think that need
yes.
to
You're the
transpire over here. One, Kendrick Lamar's "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe." The president needs to have that as his anthem.
She's quoting someone.
And
Yes.
yes, that's the name of the song.
Yes.
And Western Europe needs Destiny Child, "Bills, Bills, Bills." Can you pay my bills?
A lot of unacceptable language at this table.
How about Beat on the Brat by the Ramones?
That's my favorite Ramon song.
It's one of the greatest Ramones.
Don't the brat. Don't the brat.
There you go.
This show is
Look
so
it up,
fun.
America.
All right, very good. Or don't. Just apologize, America. Don't go anywhere. The Fastest 7 is next.
Welcome back. Time for The Fastest 7. First up, actor Sacha Baron Cohen under fire just days before the debut of his new show, Who is America? Sarah Palin ripping the British comedian, calling him sick for conducting a gotcha interview with the former Alaska governor while disguised as a disabled veteran. Cohen apparently also tricked former Vice President Dick Cheney during a different interview.
Dick Cheney. Is it possible to sign my waterboard?
Sure.
That's the first. That's the first time I've ever signed a waterboard.
Oh my God. Are you going to watch this, Greg?
I don't know. Sacha Baron Cohen has done absolutely genius things. His Ali G show is amazing. My problem with him is that a lot of his targets are always polite people. He preys on the natural Midwestern reluctance to call him out. Like, he doesn't go after soccer hooligans and make fun. He doesn't go to a pub and make fun of Millwall fans as an Arsenal fan. He doesn't go after radical imams. What he does is he has.
No, he does.
Has he?
He talked to the leader of the Al-Aqsa Brigade.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Then I am wrong on that. But he hasn't talked to the soccer
terrorist and
hooligans.
Got run out of the terrorist's office.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Yeah.
Was that his Ali G?
So you mean they weren't like Midwestern polite?
No.
Yeah, right.
I think he could have been killed.
I just think most of the people, though, with that exception, he focuses on, he knows that they're not going to, come out after
And this is at a different level. I think people are very upset that he pretended to be a disabled veteran.
Disabled veterans deserve all of our help and support and encouragement, not this.
And Sarah Palin, it looks like, really got snookered. She went all the way there for a sit-down interview and didn't go too well.
Yeah, she said he is evil, exploitative, and sick, Jesse, which is not far from the character that he plays. He wants to be seen that way. I think he's having fun. I do think that in the case of Sarah Palin, that was rude because she had to travel. She went to him. So, I think that's not nice to Sarah Palin.
Somebody should have vetted it.
Yeah, obviously they did not vet it. So
she said that she
that's
got
on her or her people, I guess.
She said she got it through a speaker's bureau, and so what he does is he gives you like a mountain to sign.
Wow.
The release is massive, and hidden within there is the real context of the show. So you have to read everything very, very carefully.
Wow. I'm going to be very careful.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But I'm going to watch it before I judge.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Greg.
I guess it's Sunday night. All right, everybody's got opinion on passwords. They're too long, too hard to remember, and some just downright stupid.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage.
Wasn't that Podesta's password? Turns out we're all sick and tired of passwords, too. According to a new study, 64% of Americans are annoyed by long passwords filled with letters, numbers, and symbols, and 78% say they can't even keep track of all their passwords, which isn't surprising. The average person polled had 34 different online accounts. That is a lot of accounts.
I wouldn't mind it so much as when you're going, like when you're calling your bank about something and they ask the questions and you can't remember the questions because you don't remember the password. I get the feeling that they derive pleasure from it. Like when you get, the more angrier you get, the more they just kind of go, we're going to ask you another question.
We could ask
They should be more supportive during the frustration.
Give you a little hint.
Yeah. By the way, my password is Tasty Unicorn 5000, but you don't know what kind of accounts I have.
But do you have lots of different passwords, or do you have one password that fits everything? Like
I have my niece works in cybersecurity, so she hooked me up like
Jasper. Jasper.
Different combinations of Jasper.
My passwords are computer generated, so like you don't know what they are. But I do think that where we're headed is it's going to be face recognition, and that will help for this problem. But it has so many problems, and I would love to do a segment on it.
I have face recognition on my phone, and it does not recognize my face half the time. But you're right. I mean, that's what it's going to go to. That's why there are thumbprints and various ways of, retina scans and all that stuff, because people are getting so sick of this that technology will come up with a problem, or with the solution, rather.
So you got to stay with us for my one more thing, because it'll remind you of this story. But my password should be something like "Hello, Vlad," because I think the Russians are in there anyway. But I got to say, I am so frustrated with this. So my wife came up with a solution. She introduced me to LastPass, which is you put LastPass in there, and then you go to LastPass and it lets you in everything, except then I think, well, what was the password for LastPass? And that's how stupid I can be. Yeah.
All right.
The best is people who forget their password for Bitcoin, and there's no way of retrieving it.
It's true. Too bad. All right. Finally, get your party hats on, because it's our birthday. The 5 turns 7 today, and we could not have done it without you, our loyal viewers. To help us celebrate this special occasion, we asked you to send us photos of you watching the show. Here's Janelle enjoying the show.
Cute.
Hey, Janelle.
Why does she have to be cute?
Here's
Dana?
my main man, Keith Connolly, taking a picture of us outside the set during taping one time. I think I reckon. Was he the one that said something to you, Juan? And loyal viewer Jocelyn is raising her 10-year-old son, Evan Wright. There you go, Evan. And do dogs count? Because here's
Definitely.
Yawn.
Oh,
very cute.
Yawn.
But Greg,
Little
you
hairy
said that
man.
you were just on vacation, and you said that our fans are the best.
They are the best. They're everywhere, and it's like a secret club. You're walking in anywhere, people just go like this. Hey.
Yeah.
They don't say, hey, they don't run, but also because you're in there.
quiet.
Yeah, but also because when you're in their living room and you shared history and conflict with them, they feel that they know you, and you do know us because we're real. We're the only real show.
Did they call you Sean?
Yeah.
Because he was in here Monday.
I know.
Yeah, he was
We do
playing
look
Greg.
alike. I can use a facial
Well,
recognition.
But I got to tell you something.
7 years is a long time.
Here we go.
But I got to tell you something. It's no secret society to me. I mean, so I'm the left of center on this set, right? But everywhere, I mean, you tell me in New York, I'm going to tell you something. People recognize and say good things about the 5.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I don't.
And you wear your Fox News hat everywhere you go.
Well, no, I don't. I must say, sometimes when I'm coming from the gym, I have on a Fox jacket if it's raining.
And they love it. Everyone loves it. And we love our fans, and we love the chance to be here.
And when everybody comes up to me, they say, how do you deal with Juan? And I say, I get paid to. All right, one more thing up next. Welcome back. Time for The Fast 7. First up, actor Sacha Baron Cohen under fire just days before the debut of his new show, Who is America? Sarah Palin ripping the British comedian, calling him sick for conducting a gotcha interview with the former Alaska governor while disguised as a disabled veteran. Cohen apparently also tricked former Vice President Dick Cheney during a different interview.
Dick Cheney. Is it possible to sign my waterboard?
Sure.
That's a first. That's the first time I've ever signed a waterboard.
Oh my God. Are you going to watch this, Greg?
I don't know. Sacha Baron Cohen has done absolutely genius things. His Ali G show is amazing. My problem with him is that a lot of his targets are always polite people. He preys on the natural Midwestern reluctance to call him out. Like, he doesn't go after soccer hooligans and make fun. He doesn't go to a pub and make fun of Millwall fans as an Arsenal fan. He doesn't go after radical imams. What he does is he has.
Oh, no, he does.
Has he?
He talked to the leader of the Al-Aqsa Brigade.
I stand corrected. Then I am wrong on that. But he hasn't talked to the soccer hooligans.
Got run out of the terrorist's office.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Yeah.
Was that his Ali G?
So you mean they weren't like Midwestern polite?
No. I think he could have been killed.
I just think most of the people, though, with that exception, he focuses on, he knows that they're not going to, come out after
And this is at a different level. I think people are very upset that he pretended to be a disabled veteran.
Disabled veterans deserve all of our help and support and encouragement, not this.
And Sarah Palin, it looks like, really got snookered. She went all the way there for a sit-down interview and didn't go too well.
Yeah, she said he is evil, exploitative, and sick, Jesse, which is not far from the character that he plays. He wants to be seen that way. I think he's having fun. I do think that in the case of Sarah Palin, that was rude because she had to travel. She went to him. So, I think that's not nice to Sarah Palin.
Somebody should have vetted it.
Yeah, obviously they did not vet it. So
she said that
that's
she got
on
this,
her or her people, I guess.
She said she got it through a speakers bureau, and so what he does is he gives you like a mountain to sign.
Wow.
The release is massive, and hidden within there is the real context of the show. So you have to read everything very, very carefully.
I'm going to be very careful.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But I'm going to watch it before I judge.
Yeah,
right.
Me too.
Thank you, Greg.
I guess it's Sunday night. All right, everybody's got opinion on passwords. They're too long, too hard to remember, and some write just downright stupid.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage.
Wasn't that Podesta's password? Turns out we're all sick and tired of passwords, too. According to a new study, 64% of Americans are annoyed by long passwords filled with letters, numbers, and symbols, and 78% say they can't even keep track of all their passwords.